What's up, guys? I have spent a lot of time outside setting up camps, building shelters. If you don't know, my prior job was teaching people how to not die in the woods. Through that experience, I have learned tons of different knots. There's great books out there, just like this one, but I've really found that you can do 99% of the tasks that you'll ever need using these 10. You might have to get a little bit creative on how you apply them to different situations. There are a couple exceptions. If I'm doing anything like rock climbing or mountaineering, I'm going to use something that's a little bit more durable. Also, I'm not going to go over lashings in this video. I already have a full video on a square lash and a shear lash. So if you're interested in learning those, check out the links above. I'll also put a link in the description. Before we actually start tying any knots, all the different terminology that we'll use throughout the video. Our running end or our working end are the ends that we're actually manipulating. An overhand loop goes over the body, an underhand loop goes under the body. The body is the rest of the line. A bite is just making a bend in the line itself. A turn is taking the running end and wrapping it around another line or an object. You might notice as we go through these, some of them are called knots and some of them are called hitches. Just to add a little bit of clarity, there is a difference between those two. A knot is when a rope ties to a rope, and a hitch is when a rope ties to an object. Let's check it out. For a square knot, remember the same line goes on top both times. You're going to be golden. So left over right, and then do a turn. Give myself a little bit of slack with my working ends here. Now I'm going to take right over left, do another turn, and bring it up and through this window I made. Like that. To test if it's a square knot, I can just slide. To strike a square knot, grab the same line, the body, and the working end. Doesn't matter which side you choose. I'm going to go with the blue side and pull them apart from one another. And it will pop apart. Now all I have to do is pull it. The most common mistake people make with a square knot is to not do the same line on top both times. So they'll do left over right, and then left over right again. Do their turn, and then they make what we call a granny knot, which is not what we're looking for. The slip loop is one of the most fundamental knots that you're going to use and is going to be used in multiple other knots that we do later in this video. For a slip loop, start with an underhand loop. So that's my working end going underneath my body. Grab a bite, just like that. That's going to come up and through, and then pull tight. It should slide with one end, and the other end will just tighten the knot. To strike a slip loop, I grab my working end and I grab my body and I pull and it comes undone. To tie the bowline, we're going to start off with a slip loop. Now I'll take the working end of my line, run it through my slip loop, fold it back on itself and pinch. All I do then is grab the body and pull. The most common error I see when people are tying the snap bowline is they tighten the base of the slip loop. They will get their slip loop tied and pull this tight down here. It doesn't allow this to snap through this knot and actually create a bowline. So make sure you're leaving this base loose. That way it will snap through. An overhand knot isn't used all that often, but it is a quick, easy way to put a safety on things. I'm going to take my working end and run it over the body for an overhand loop, then run it up through the center of the loop I made and pull tight. The trucker's hitch allows me to take one line and tie it around an object or another line and really put a lot of good tension on it. So I use this if I'm trying to build shelters or secure things together. I'm going to wrap one line around the other, pull it nice and tight, and then pinch right where they come together. That's going to hold tension on the whole system. Then I'm going to essentially just tie a slip loop. So I take and I make a bite, and I cross that bite over the body. If you look right here, I've created an overhand loop. So now I'll take that bite, wrap it underneath, and pull it up and through, creating a slip loop. And I pull tight. To strike this, just like we do with the slip loop, all I'm going to do is pull the working end. However, if you want to put a safety on this, so this doesn't accidentally get pulled and have it come undone, wrap around the loop and run it through itself. So if you take that away, I've done an underhand loop, put it around the trucker hitch itself, and then pull tight. Now, this won't untie if it gets accidentally pulled on, but it's very easy to pull it off and then strike it. A girth hitch is a way to secure one line to another, or if I want to connect this to a poncho or some kind of tarp, this is usually what I'm going to use. It's really good for a quick, easy connection. I'm going to make a bite, pass just the bite beyond my line, or if this was a grommet or some kind of hole, I would pass it through the eyelet there. If you can imagine my finger being the eyelet. Now pull the working end and the body all the way through this bite. So they are going to wrap around and then grab both the working end and the body and pull them tight. A daisy chain is a series of slip loops that's going to take all this mess of cordage that you have, keep it nice and neat and organized, and not allow it to get knotted up inside of your pack or wherever you're keeping it. So the first thing you're going to do is find the two ends of your line and get the rest of it out of the way. You could do this with 5 lines, 10 lines, really as many as you want. Make a slip loop using both lines. Now I'm going to hold on to the standing end, reach through my slip loop, grab the body, and pull a bite. Now I reach through that loop I made and pull another bite through. And I'm going to continue this process all the way down my line. To finish this off, I like to just pull through, but make sure you don't pull tight. If I pull this tight, this will flip over right here. Leave it nice and loose at the end. To strike a daisy chain, go to the end that I finished with, pull my 2 lines out, and then pull, and each of those slip loops will come undone in sequence, and my lines are undone and ready for use. Square knots are great for securing 2 lines of equal diameter together, but you may not always have 2 lines of the same diameter, or you may not have 2 lines at all. Maybe you're trying to tie off to a blanket, a tarp, a sheet, or something like that. That's where the sheet bend comes in. Essentially, all we're going to do is make an overhand knot, but this is one that needs to be dressed up, or else it's not going to work appropriately. Take my larger diameter rope, or my blanket or sheet, and make a bite in it. I'm going to take the smaller one, run it through the bite I've made, wrap around the bite, and then feed it underneath itself. Like that. Now I'm slowly going to tighten the body and the working end until this bites down. If I just pull tight, this is likely going to come undone. I also risk the knot coming off the top of the sheet here, and now I've made a slip loop where the sheet is just going to slide out. Those are the 2 most common issues I see when people are doing the sheet bend. So I'm essentially just making a series of underhand loops that go in sequence down some kind of object. I'm going to use my axe handle, and I'm going to wrap my line around. Now all I'm going to do is take my running end, go underneath, and then I'll pull up to the next spot. Again, I'll hold it in place, wrap around the object, put my running end through, and pull tight. And I can continue that sequence as close together as I need and as many times as I need for whatever I'm trying to do. A clove hitch is a good way to secure a piece of line to an object. I'm going to start by wrapping my line around 1 time. Pass it around a 2nd time, but I need to cross over the first loop that I made here. So I've crossed over, and now I'm going to wrap around a 2nd time. Now I'm going to take the working end and pass it underneath that most recent loop that I just made right here, and I'll pull tight. When it's done, I should see 2 lines going underneath with 1 line crossing over both of them. That's the clove hitch. If you have any questions about any of the knots that we did here or other ones that you've learned or heard of and you want to know why I didn't cover them, put it in the comments. I'm not against other knots that are out there. I've just found these 10 to be the absolute most useful. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoyed it. See ya.